Determine all critical numbers for the function f of x equals x to the fourth minus 4x cubed minus 32x squared plus 192x. Critical numbers are the x values that make the numerator and the denominator of the derivative equal to 0 and are in the domain of the function. The first thing to do is find the domain. F of x equals x to the fourth minus 4x cubed minus 32x squared plus 192x is a polynomial and therefore has a domain that is all real numbers, or negative infinity to positive infinity. The next thing to do is find the derivative. F prime of x equals, first term's power rule, bring down the power, subtract 1 from it. Second term's power rule, bring down the power, multiply with the negative 4, subtract 1 from it. Third term's power rule, bring down the power, multiply with the negative 32, subtract 1 from it. Fourth term is a constant times x, derivative will be the constant. We now set the numerator equal to 0 and the denominator, if there is one, also equal to 0. And solve for all x's. This is a 4-term cubic. We can attempt to factor this by group factoring. We will group together the 4x cubed and the negative 12x squared, as well as the negative 64x and the positive 192. For the first grouping, there is a common factor of a 4 and an x squared, which will leave an x and a minus 3. And for the second grouping, there's a common factor of a 64, and we will factor a negative out with it as well. This will become a positive x, and 192 is 64 times 3. Since we're factoring a negative 64, it'll become a negative 3. Since what's left is an x minus 3 for both of them, group factoring is possible, and we can now factor out an x minus 3 from the entire expression, which will leave behind a 4x squared minus a 64, which is a difference of squares, but it has a common factor of 4. Let's factor that 4 out first. That'll move out in front of the x minus 3, and that'll leave behind an x squared and a minus 16, which is a difference of squares, and can further factor. It'll factor into x plus 4 and x minus 4. And now it's fully factored. It looks like x equals 3, x equals negative 4, and x equals 4. We will now check to see if these are in the domain. The domain is all real numbers. X equals 3 is a real number, we keep it. X equals negative 4 is a real number, we keep it. X equals 4 is a real number, we keep it. X equals 3, x equals negative 4, and x equals 4 are the critical numbers for the function.